Hi everyone, Ed here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Indycar around the Long Beach circuit in California on Project Cars 2. This was the direct feed gameplay that we were able to get at the recent event that we attended. Again, it's on the controller, so unfortunately for you guys who wanted to see some wheel gameplay, unfortunately we couldn't get that quite yet, but we're working on it. Hopefully we'll have something for you real soon. But for now, this is some controller gameplay, and I must admit this was my first time, was the first thing that I was getting on with the controller, so it took me a little while to get used to it. It's definitely, with this car, something that Alan pointed out to me as we were sort of halfway through the evening, was that this car is definitely a car where it's slow in, fast out. Anything that you're trying to do mid-corner, you've just got to coast it around the middle of the corner, otherwise it's going to light up those rear wheels. Once you're in a straight line, you're coming out that corner, you can floor it, and it's got loads and loads of straight on traction, but mid-corner it's definitely a handful if you're trying to get fancy with it. So that was something that I was finding quite difficult on the controller, because the controller, you've got to just use quite a lot of finesse as you're driving around. This car in particular, it handles quite well, and even though I do make a few mistakes here, I feel like the Indycar is one of those cars that people will probably be able to master on the controller. It's got some good feeling to it, and you can sort of feel that threshold on the brakes where you're going to lock it up, and you can feel on the throttle where you're going to hook it up as well as you're coming out the corners. I was misjudging that most of the way round here, but I was getting there on some of the laps that I was putting in. But as I said, this is on the Long Beach circuit. It's really nicely detailed, actually. I feel like this is probably the nicest version of Long Beach that we've seen in a while. It's got some really good detail at the side of the track, and the buildings that you're going past and everything. I think everything looks really great. And on this demo setup that they had for us, we can see a really fast day-night transition here. So on the first lap it was pretty much midday, and now we're starting to see the sun set, and it looks gorgeous as the sun's setting here, and everything's turning a bit more orangey, pinky sort of colour. And then it sort of goes into, as it turns to dusk, the clouds come over and it becomes a bit more of a murky day. And you can see how the weather really is something that can change drastically on this game, and it's a completely dynamic system too. It's got all kinds of different weather conditions. As you can see here, the clouds are coming over now. It's going to start getting a bit more murky as we make our way around these next couple of corners, and it just shows how it's not just sunny or rainy or cloudy. It's really all of those things, and everything in between is what you can achieve on this game as far as weather goes. And it's always something that can change and develop as the race goes on. And I'm really keen to see how the rain plays in this game. It's something that they've been raving about, is how they've modelled the drainage on the tracks and things like that, so that the rain is forming around where the drain holes are, and it sort of dries in different ways depending on what the wind is like, and where the cars have been driving and things like that. So it's very detailed, and as we can see here, they're showcasing how the weather can change quite a lot, and how the track is really coping with it. It's looking great in all these different conditions, especially as it turns to night here. We can see the things around the track all lighting up in purple and pinks, and the buildings on the side of the track are really detailed. It's something that I found quite surprising, actually. It was something that I don't think I've seen in the likes of maybe the Forza version of this track. Some of the bumps in here as well, things that were much deeper on this version than I've seen in previous versions of this track. I think they've captured the bumps and cracks and grooves in the street circuit here at Long Beach really well, and it's something that they've been working really hard on. So as we come around here, I think this next lap is probably the one where I start to really hook it up. So coming around the straight here, this is pretty good last corner on this circuit. It allows you to get a pretty even run at the next lap, so you don't have to worry too much about hooking up the last corner. You can pretty much take that however you like and still get a nice run into the first corner. So come around here, doing this little roundabout section. I do lock up the fronts a little bit there. All get a little bit of a fishtail and raise the first the front wheels up in the air. Launch it over those rumble strips and get it sideways a bit, because I'm full throttle around the middle of the corner, so that's never a good idea. Taking it easy into this corner. The camber of that corner can really throw the car off because it's sort of backwards on yourself, the camber. It's fighting against you. Coming through here, you can hear the car echoing off the grandstands next to you and the tunnels. Around the second to last corner. This one is sort of like really long. You sort of never know when that corner is going to end. And then obviously the last hairpin, which I mash up completely. It's quite difficult to master that hairpin in the controller, because I never felt like it was turning all the way. I could never get a full steering lock through that corner. It's really tight, especially for something like an Indycar, so I found it quite difficult to master. Our engineers on the radio letting us know it's the last lap, so I was really giving it some here. I can see on the delta above that I'm quicker than my previous time, so it's amping me up to go faster and faster. As you can see, I'm really green on this lap, so I'm really going for it now. Getting a little bit of slide on, managed to catch it, and then coming into this corner, I held the brakes on all the way into the corner. I had far too much braking and locked up the rear tyres. And that's basically like pulling the handbrake on yourself, so I spun out. I was so annoyed at myself that I spun out there. It was so irritating. So I sort of just taking it easy, going back, sulking in my seat because I just ruined my best lap. Sad times. Anyway, this was Indycar around Long Beach. If you've got any questions or comments, let us know. More to come real soon.